Katie from Katie's Scrappy Studio, and that's the name of my blog, so I decided to start using it here too. The link will be in the description. And I have a pretty simple project to show you how to make, and it's really simple, and you can probably figure it out on your own, but I wanted to do a video on it anyway. So this is one that you can really let your imaginations go wild with. The possibilities are endless, and these are just so much fun to make because they don't take a lot of supplies, and that I love. So they're inexpensive to make. So they that I'm speaking of are these little notepads right here. Ta-da! So these notepads are from Paper Tray Ink, and I really like that site, and this is how it's spelled. It's not an A in the middle, it's an E. So other than that, it's pretty simple. And they have a lot of great stuff, and I stumbled upon these a couple years ago, these little 25 sheet notepads here. And you get 10 of them for $6, and they come in white, which is what these are, and they also come in vintage cream. So I hadn't discovered my vintage side by when I made my first order of these, so I did not get the vintage ones, but my next order will include them. And like I said, you get 10 of them for $6, and they have 25 sheets each, if I didn't mention that already. And the notebooks and the measurements I'm giving you in this video are just one notepad, but you can certainly stack them as many as you want to make them thicker. So I originally made 4 of these for a swap, and then I liked them and I thought, well, maybe I could sell these, so I sold them on Etsy, all but one of them, and I lost it, I don't know where it is, but so I made another 4 for the swap. And when I got back into scrapping, I decided to break these babies out and just make some more, so because people really liked these. Now trying not to say but I did it again. Shoot. Okay, so you definitely do not have to use these specific notepads though. If you have if you want to do some that are really thin like this, apparently you can go into a place like a FedEx office, like you speak Kinko's, or Staples or Office Supply, any kind of place that has like a print copy center, and see if they can cut in half a regular notepad for you, and then you can have the really thin. And what I like about decorating these is it's kind of a different aspect ratio than what a lot of us are used to creating on. Usually things are a little more evened out as far as 12 by 12 layout, or something like mini albums that are 4 by 6 and stuff like that. So I figured this is really just kind of a fun project, and like I said, it's really simple, and you also can use any notebook you want, and I will show you how the measurements for another notepad that I have, and this is what it looks like, and this is how big it is, and this one's the yellow pages. But let's get started on these notepads right here. Let me get my little notes here out of the way. And you can use cardstock or chipboard for these. I use chipboard. It's a pretty lightweight chipboard that I always get on eBay. I have no idea what the specific weight of it is, but it bends easily. And you don't want to use really thick cardstock because it needs to be able to bend like this really easily without, like, tearing. So you can use cardstock for it too if you don't need to be heavy duty at all, and that would work just fine. So to start out, I use an 8.5 by 11 sheet of chipboard, and I cut it to, first of all, the measurements of these are 2.5 by 8 inches. So to cut it, I do 2 5/8 inches, and then I just leave this at 11 inches right here. So my first score line that you're going to make that bends right here is going to be at 8 1/8 inch. So it's just 1/8 of an inch above the height of the notepad. And then the depth of each notepad is only 1/8 of an inch. So I just went up 1/8 of an inch and scored there. And after this, you can cut it down anywhere like down to here. You want to make sure that you leave at least, I'd say an inch, inch and a half, no less than 3/4 of an inch, or else you'll end up, this one needs to be redone before I put it on Etsy. But aside from the glue, the problem is that this will probably come undone because there's just not a whole lot not a lot of room for the chipboard to grab onto the back of this notepad. So that's the part that kind of differs, and really is just depends on what you want to do. This one is how it should be, a little bit more, and it can go longer too. It really, that part doesn't matter as long as you can't have too much, but you can't have too little. So that is actually super simple. That's all that there is to it, and I will give you some notes here in just a minute. But I want to do the measurements for this notepad right here. And a couple years ago, I was getting ready for a craft fair that I hadn't even applied for yet. I ended up not doing the craft fair, but I made like, oh gosh, over a dozen of these file folder organizers. And for these, pen goes in there. And for these, I needed notepads. And so I went to the Dollar Tree and stocked up on these 3-pack legal notepads, and there's 3 of them, and each pad has 40 sheets, and they were just $1. And so they come like with this blue right here. They really attach pretty well. So I just tear one off, and so that I don't have too thick of a notepad. But you can certainly just glue one notepad to the other, and that would work just fine. So that's the size that I worked with here, and I did just the same thing. I took this is my little template here, just for demonstration. So again, these are 5 inches wide. The notepad is, so I made mine 5 1/8 inches wide. And this one got cut down a little bit more, but it was 11 inches, and it can stay that way. And again, my first score line is at 8 1/8 inch, since my notepad is 8 inches tall. But the depth of this notepad, with 2 of them stacked together, is 5/8 of an inch. So my next score line came to be at 8 3/4 inches. And this is 3/4 inches left right here, and that is the minimum you want to leave for the back of your notepad to adhere. So I would recommend a little bit more than that, but that'll do it. So the basics of this is just to take the width of your notepad, and for your cover it just needs to be 1/8 of an inch wider, or else you risk having it switch just a little bit, shift a little bit like that. And also you don't I'll show you what I did when I got back into making these, and I hadn't done it in a couple years. I scored it at 8 inches, and what happens when you do that is it kind of, when you do the bending at the top, it leaves you with this little bit at the bottom, so you have to add the 1/8 of an inch to make sure it stays down there. So that's all there is to that part right there. So your first score line is just 1/8 of an inch higher than the height of your notepad. Then you measure the depth of the notepad, and your next score line is that depth past your first score line. And then after that, just leave at least 1 inch, 1.5 inches, at least, well, 3/4 of an inch at least. And you have your cover. And you can, like I said, you can use cardstock for this. You can use lightweight chipboard, like cereal boxes, but I guess if you want to use the cereal boxes on one side, you'd want to make sure the side that has all the color and writing on it is the top part. But in these, I didn't even decorate the insides. This one I did because I used fabric, and the corners, I didn't want them to be, sloppily showing. And all of these will be on Etsy, and so, but I thought you guys would really like to know or get an idea, think that, oh, maybe this is a really, a fun idea. It's simple and quick and easy and cheap. And this one, I just used fabric. I used the Sana journal that I showed you guys a little bit ago, and then I used this ruffly trim from the Piece by Piece on Etsy, black ruffled trim. And this is Cynthia Luhu's. Her a mesh bling in black from Carla001 on Etsy. And this is also the, it's either balling or baling, and I really need to figure out how that's pronounced, and I'll do that before I upload this video. But it's just this, basically it's a strip of rhinestones, and it's really pretty. And then I made this flower a while ago with the intention of making more, and I'm going to, but I decided to just go ahead and put this one on here because it's been sitting around for a couple weeks. And it's just made from the poly satin and tulle and some pearl strands and a little white rose in the middle. And then I had a stamp that said the same thing, but it was a little bit, but it was too small. So I recreated it in Photoshop and printed it out on just cardstock and put it here. So this is what my notebook turned out like, and as you can see, I still have the two bound together up there. I just ripped the one off of it so it wasn't three stacked high. As you can see, when you go back, you'll get to this point, and all you'd have to do if you pull these apart is to just adhere one again, and you might want to do it pretty strongly so that this, because these sheets can come off kind of easily like that. So anyway, I hope that this made sense, and I do have all of this information on my blog, including templates for these, just in case, you know, and make sure, so if I didn't explain this clearly, hopefully I did a little bit better on my blog. I get kind of flustered when I'm speaking in videos, so you guys know that. But anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that it inspires you to do something creative, and stop by my blog and leave a comment, and I'll check out your blog too. I love to see what my friends are up to. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a good day, or night, afternoon, morning, whatever. Bye.